Welcome back to our AYO tutorial series. In this set of videos, we'll explore the powerful features of the AYO lesson planner. In this video, we'll share with you how you can create and add content to your AYO lesson planner. Let's get started. You notice on each of these days, I have two different options to either create or add lesson content from the repository. Let's get started by showing how to create new content. I'll select create and then have the option to select the sections for my course. I have one section here, but if you have a course that has multiple sections, you can select all or select individual sections you want your lesson to apply to. Following that, you'll see the option to select TEKS to be covered. For some courses, you'll see suggested TEKS based on scope and sequence, but for this tutorial, we're going to show how to manually add TEKS. Selecting adding TEKS brings you to our TEKS menu, which lets you select the grade, subject area, and TEKS group when applicable. After making those selections and selecting next, you're then presented with your TEKS. There's a few different ways to find TEKS here. You can, of course, go through the entire list of TEKS, but we also have search, which works by keyword, such as one variable, which will find TEKS associated to one variable. But also, if I know the standard I'm looking for, I can just type in the standard, for example, 7.11, and find those standards. You'll also notice before I make selections here that some standards are labeled as readiness and supporting to denote the kind of standard that they are. In this case, I'm going to be adding 7.11 by clicking the plus icon, as well as A and B. Once the TEKS that I wish to have are selected, I can select to save changes and then move on to the next step. Here I can confirm the date that I want my lesson to apply, or expand this individual lesson into a sequence of lessons by selecting an end date. This instead, in this case, would create 3 lessons that are progressive and stay on topic of the same subject and the same TEK, but span across multiple days. But for this tutorial, we'll create a single day lesson. And these lesson titles were just generated by AYO. So we'll see here for our unit, it's called two-step equations and inequalities. And then for our lesson title, it's called modeling two-step equations. I can add notes here as well or change my lesson title. It's important to note that the lesson title does influence the lessons that are generated in the subsequent steps. So keep that in mind as you select your lesson titles or evaluate the lesson title that's already been generated by AYO. Let's move along to our next steps. In here, AYO just generated knows and shows, as well as linked related resources and materials. You'll see at the top that I can view the resources and materials, such as TEKS and star questions and field guides, and I can quickly see what was used to help influence my lesson creation and some of the guides that are out here that are available for you to support your lesson planning process. In addition to that, I'll also notice that knows and shows were just generated by AYO, and these can be deleted and edited, as well as moved around to be put in the proper order and evaluated. These will also help to influence the lesson content that's generated in conjunction with the title and the standards. And knows and shows can be manually added by just selecting add shows and add knows. But if everything looks good to you, you can move along and select next. And your last step here is just to confirm that you want to create a lesson sequence. So you can uncheck this and manually create your own lesson, but AYO can generate a strong lesson for you that includes vocabulary and misconceptions and materials in just one click of a button, which we'll do now by clicking Create Lesson Sequence. And then you can even navigate around to different pages while AYO creates it. So I'll just show you, for example, we can go back to our main screen as the content is being generated and navigate around to do more things within AYO, but we'll be notified once the content is ready. And then we can navigate to our newly created lesson. We'll explore this lesson more in our next video.